My name is Geoff, and you're here with me and a guest today to talk about Extra Life, and more specifically, what I intend to do on this year's game day coming up Saturday, November 2nd, 2024. This is my fourth year presenting the second annual Ghostnola Industries Cardio Souls Charity Variation Guaranteed World Record attempt. But first, let's talk about Extra Life.
What is Extra Life? Extra Life is a program of Children's Miracle Network hospitals with over 50,000 participants. Since its inception in 2008, Extra Lifers from across the globe have raised more than $100 million for local member children's hospitals. Money raised through Extra Life supports member children's hospitals, funding critical treatments or pediatric medical equipment, making sure that hospitals can provide charitable care to those in need, specialized services not covered by insurance. The money Geoff is raising this year is going towards his local Children's Miracle Network hospital, Children's Specialized Hospital in Mountainside, New Jersey. Children's Specialized Hospital is the preeminent provider of rehabilitation healthcare services for children with special needs, serving children affected by brain injury, spinal cord injury, premature birth, autism, developmental delays, and life-changing illnesses. Every dollar you give helps provide life-saving care to children in need. Thanks for your donations, and now back to the show. Take it away, Geoff.
With all that out of the way, let's talk about today's guest. We have Ilyon, who is of twitch.tv/ILYON _ I appreciate the underscore as a Jeff_A_ghost. Somebody also stole my name. I can't get it. I've tried. Zero followers.
I've been streaming for about 11 years, and I still cannot get my name.
Yeah. Mine's my own fault. I should have just done one word. And I said, oh, it'll be easier what it is. Nobody's going to... And now I just used, Jeff August as my Extra Life Mail Me Stuff name, because I find it funny. Should have stuck with it. But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Names are a tough one on the internet.
They are indeed. But speaking of the internet, you also are one of the co-hosts for the Rough Cuts podcast. You are also a cat parent. You're also a friend of noted Pepsi man Boix. You are
I sure am.
Hello! Oh, cat. Tuna, where are you? He's sleeping on his mat. He does not want to come.
I got my boy right here.
Nice.
And my other boy over, on Boix.
I just got the one big boy who's about this long and, a good 15-poundy.
Yeah, he's like 16 or 17, I think.
Oh, but yeah.
I had my first cat that I had lived to be 22, and he barely dropped below 20 pounds ever. He was massive. I knew that somebody came over and used to call him Cougar because he was just so big.
Nice. Yeah, Tuna's 13. I readopted him from some suspicious hippies when he was about 2 or 3, and, he's been with me ever since.
That's awesome.
They said such things as, why would you take a cat to the vet? Why would you groom a long-haired cat? It's like,
This cat needs to have a better home, yeah.
This cat needs love. And so we do. I believe you also know a little bit about Might and Magic, Elden Ring.
I do know. Yes.
As well as professional photography.
Yeah, and also a lot about card games, although I don't really do them anymore. I've done a lot of things over the years on Twitch, considering the time that I've been around.
That is interesting, because there are two things I've tried to learn many, many times, and it just bounces off my peanut brain. One is card games, and the other is Homestuck.
Yeah, I don't know Homestuck. Can't help you there, but
I got so many
unfortunately...
friends that are great at both, and they will talk to me for upwards of hours, and it's nothing. Just bounces right off. Water off the duck's back.
Tragically, if you wanted to talk about card games, I quit Magic and started streaming a game called Eternal years ago, and I've recently kind of gotten out of that too. I'm mostly over it. But with Eternal, it's both phone and on Steam. My Steam hours alone, and they have got to be a tiny, tiny fraction. Like, we're talking less than 10% of my time in Magic. My Steam hours alone are at 6,100 hours. So tragically, if you need to know anything about cards, I can probably tell you something about cards.
You know, if in future years of Extra Life I have some incentives where I decide to learn a game, I think I got my guy now.
But of course, I do also, as you noted, I do have
Ooh.
my Might and Magic diploma, so if necessary, I can always crack that out. I have a few of them.
I got 3 diplomas sitting on the other side of the room for me, and I'm going to say that's definitely worth more than them.
Yeah, probably.
Who needs a mathematician? What are you going to do with that? You're qualified to do absolutely nothing.
You gotta have a Magimagtician. Or a
Well,
Mightimagtician.
I like to fancy myself something of a mathemagician, you know? I can do
There you
some
go.
tricks, some modulus, as it were. Uh, where are we? Oh, yes. Speaking of charity, I know you do also have some experience with Extra Life, although more so you've been a Doctors with Borders streamer the past few years.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I've done Extra Life. Extra Life was one of the ones that really started the charity stuff that I did because they were one of the first ones with their foot in the door with Twitch, like way, way back, right when it changed over from Justin TV and I was getting my start. So I jumped on and did an Extra Life stream back when they were promoting that because I always wanted to do more charity stuff and they were always fantastic with that. So I joined up with them and I did my first charity stream with them. And that became the Pickle Challenge. And I moved it over to Doctors Without Borders just because Extra Life. Here's the real answer: is it's not that Extra Life is bad; it's that Extra Life was too good. It was one of those things where there's so many charities that were way behind the curve at fundraising, and I really really like Doctors Without Borders as a charity, and so I switched over to them because everyone was doing Extra Life. So it was one of those things where like they had a lot of support, and there's still a great charity support. Like I was raising money for the Toronto Children's Hospital Sick Kids that does like a lot of cancer research and other research like that for a lot of diseases. And so I shifted over to Doctors Without Borders, but it was just because like I'm like everybody's already raising so much money for Extra Life. Let's try and like also get some other charities in. So I kind of went with them and did that for a long time.
Gotcha. That sounds great. And also, because we are in a time warp, although you are not going to be the first person posted, I'm
No.
talking to you first, but I am going to talk to somebody who is involved with Doctors Without Borders. So it's all connected here. It's like, back
Nice.
when I was teaching, the kids just thought I got up there and tried to free jazz lessons about, synthetic division. They didn't believe me when I said, no, I plan all this out. There is a web. It's very Pepe Silva, in the back of my skull.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's better than me because I do not have much of a plan at any point. Every once in a while, a gremlin like goes through a filing cabinet and like goes and dusts off like a folder and goes, "Wait, I think this is what we were doing. This was it, right?" And like pulls out some like you said, the Pepe Sylvia. Because I think somewhere in here was the ideas.
Nice. Okay. So let's get a little bit more pertinent to what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
I happen to know you are no strangers to Dark Souls, and in no less words than your own, it is one of my favorite series of games. I am
Yeah.
a full-on fanatic for Elden Ring, and even enjoy Dark Souls 2 a fair bit. So, I would like to congratulate Ilyon for being the first person I do not have to read the Wikipedia summary of Dark Souls 2, once again, despite you being the third person, possibly, I'm posting. Please do not think too hard about this.
Yes, champions.
But speaking of Dark Souls, a thing I've really come to love is the ridiculous gimmick runs that we see for, your various games done in other marathons and people just being bored. Especially ones that focus more on physically assaulting the player than imposing a mental challenge of sorts on how you're going to successfully get through the game. Although we do know the two can and do intermingle, which kind of brings us to me. But first, I have a question for you. So I have a weird relationship with pickles. When I was a young dwarf,
So do I.
oh, I know. Well, I don't know exactly, but when I was a youngster, here's some Gorf deep lore. When I would come home from school, my latchkey kid snack waiting for me was a jar of baby gherkins. So I have eaten
Oh.
all of the pickles I need to eat in my life, and I cannot do pickles anymore. Now, I do not count kimchi. I do not count some of your, like, I'm talking, I stick a cucumber in some brine and I
Yeah.
pickle it. I'm out. I've done it. I've done too much. But I need to know, what on earth is the pickle challenge?
So the pickle challenge is the thing that I do for Doctors Without Borders. And as you can see, I even have like all of my stream art has been incorporated with pickles over the years. Because on that first charity stream that I did for Extra Life, I got a large donation from somebody when we got into a conversation about food, and I ended up talking about how much I just despise pickles. I like pickling, like you said. Like I don't mind pickled stuff. I'll eat pickled fish. I like pickled herring. I like that. Cucumbers are way out for me, and so pickles are extra out. They donated a big amount of money, and I had to eat a pickle for it. And then it ballooned out from there. I've done it for, this is the 10th year of the pickle challenge, I think. Ninth or 10th, kind of depends on how you count the first one. And yeah, I've done everything. The snickle, pickle aspics, smoothies. The very first pickle smoothie that I ever did chat was a lot smarter than I was because I had them put like I did ingredients in categories, and I'd do like 4 ingredients at a time, and people could vote for the one that they wanted with their money, and then I'd add one ingredient when we hit a goal. And Chad immediately realized the mistake that I had made, which was to put milk and orange juice, but in separate categories, so you could get both of them. We raised a lot of money, and I had a very chunky smoothie as the very first one.
Yeah, I am as, some people might know, and you maybe. My main gimmick is Malort, from my friend
Mm-hmm.
who is a big Malort drinker. She's a Chicago gal. Our team is Team Malorts. Malort
Yes.
is, as I recall, what happened when a transplant to Chicago in the 1800s, early 1900s, tried to make absinthe with what was laying around. Um,
Yes, something like that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that's a thing I drank a lot of for this, and I've had worse. I've had worse
Can you
things.
can you confirm for me the flavor profile of Malort, which I've always heard is kind of like a nice note of toasted pencil shavings?
All right, so I'm an old man, but when I was 19, I had one of those, epiphanies you get when you're young that you really go with, and it was,
Mm-hmm.
I need to drink healthy things. I
Yes.
was
Uh-huh.
I was late to the party with drinking alcohol, but I said I'm gonna get into juice. Not your ocean spray, just your concentrated juice. That's real good for you. And I picked grapefruit juice,
Ooh.
and every morning for a couple of months, I'd slam a shot of grapefruit juice, and afterwards, I'm going, it's good for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
I acquired a taste for grapefruit juice, and when I drink Malort, it reminds me of that time in my life. I get a lot of grapefruit on the back end.
Okay. So now you have a little you used to take a shot of something and go, this is good for me, and now you do it and go, this is terrible for me.
I go, this is for the kids.
That's a good point,
Yeah.
yes.
Which we're edging closer here. Have you? And I know in Elden Ring you've done some builds, that are
Yes.
specialized. But have you done any what you consider, gimmicky runs in any of the Souls games?
Absolutely. I did one eventually for Elden Ring because I love all of the Soul series and I always have. Elden Ring really hit me, and so I did. I'm on my 6th run, I think, right now, leading my wife through the game. My second run that I did on stream, I did it fully overloaded. So like overweight the entire run, and no using the horse. So there's no dodge, there's no run. All you can do is block and parry, and you have to like shuffle
Mm,
towards
mm,
every
mm.
single fight and location. So it was very interesting. There's a lot of points where you're like, oh, well, this is easy. What you do is it's very obviously scripted that you just kind of run past, oh, yeah, Oh, the troll at the bridge, the very first one that you're like, oh, you just run through on your horse. That's suddenly like a Margit style brick wall barrier at the beginning of the game where it takes you like 3 hours to get through.
That's a really good setup for what I'm about to say. Being
Yes, because I know
overburdened.
that you're very good at doing
Let
that.
me make sure I get this correct.
Of course.
Ahem.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've learned anything about myself for Dark Souls, we get to the topic at hand, which is cardio souls, or
Mm-hmm.
how I have decided to spend one day a year physically assaulting my own body in the name of charity while playing a video game using cardiovascular equipment.
Yes.
Now, like any game, there's rules. And here's the main ones we're operating under. Please stop me if you need clarification at any point, because I don't want you to be confused.
Of course not.
All right. While playing the game, I must be using a Stair-Stepper as my cardio machine of choice.
Okay.
Unless a cutscene is playing, I need to be moving on the Stair-Stepper.
So not even when you're stopped in the game, you're not doing it only when you're walking.
No, if I am in control of the character, I got a boogie. We got a
All right.
chuggle, all right? All glitches within the game are valid.
Now that's a fun one.
Yes.
Mhm.
Speaking of, you have to learn to parry. I did not learn to parry until a couple of months ago because now I can get into Sen's Fortress whenever I want.
Yeah. Because you're doing the drop down off of something then? I don't know the speedruns that well, but like when you can fall off of a cliff and like stab somebody in the parry.
I'm working up to those. The main parry
it is?
jokes I have right now is before I even fight a boss, I am going to Sen's to free Logan because I'm playing as a magician. I need everything I got. It's glass cannon time, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, the other one that I've been working on that I am not as successful with is the one to make Ornstein and Smo basically a free fight because you can disable their AI for the first half.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I did not know about that one.
It's a bit more finicky. You need to lure the Silver Knight all the way back to the fog wall. You parry, and when you riposte, you go through it. Triggers the cutscene. But then you have to run all the way back to the bonfire where Solaire's hanging out, sit down. The whole time, their health bars are on the screen. You then come all the way back to the main room. As you start approaching the stairs, the music comes back on. When you get in, Smo is trying to, march his way through, and Ornstein's just in the back, striking a vogue there. And
Amazing.
you, I believe, have to kill Smo, or else you soft lock the game, because Super Smo will not spawn.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Nice.
So I need to make sure I have that correct before I try it, because, that's a hot property to mess up.
That's a tough one to do. It's not like in a Might and Magic game where you can just reload a save. You're stuck.
Well, it's funny you mention that because I did have a prepared save last year. In the words of Solaire, worlds collide, time's, non-linear and whatnot. So maybe, and some people complained, when I met Solaire, I quit out and I loaded back in a prepared character and then just, went on some terms of enrampagement. So this year I won't do that. I'm going to play it straight, which means I had to learn more glitches.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, I know. And, of course, to complete the game, there are up to, I believe, 26 bosses you can defeat. There's a lot optional. Somewhere in the neighborhood of, I believe, a baker's dozen to 15 is, your average route, just kind of bumbling around. I think speed runs, we're at the single-digit minutes if we're going the any percent glitch ones. My target's about 7 hours to ensure maximum goofery and time zone overlap for co-commentators. So, people can just really enjoy the self-flagellation. I believe last year we clocked in at 6:43 in game time.
Wow. That's a lot of cardio.
It's a lot. And, it's a good thing I do a lot of cardio because there's something else that goes on. Every time I beat a boss, I have to do something. Every time I get certain donations, things can happen. So I got my list from last year. So this is the order of bosses that I defeated. It stops at 12. I'm pretty sure I fought more than 12 bosses. I'd have to check the tapes. I do get to pause at one point. After I beat a boss, there's a beverage prepared for me. So while I'm drinking the beverage, I can stop because, the goal is the people paid for me to get that beverage into my body, not spill it all over
Not
myself.
Frito.
Yeah, no, that. So here's what we got. And I did a pretty typical path, I believe. So, assume we're talking gargoyles, quelaag, all that stuff. Malort. Somebody was nice, Coke Zero. Malort.
That's kind.
Carolina Reaper rum. Yes, it's hot and spicy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have done the Carolina Reaper just plain. Not fun.
Yeah. A big wave beer, because somebody was kind to me. An old fashioned with cherry Coke. Somebody was very kind to me. Water. I never said it had to be non-alcoholic, but thankfully people picked up on, the loopholes. A big wave beer. Also with the beers, it is like I have to just inhale them like I'm drinking underage at a party. It's not sippy. It is get it in you, kid. This was a really good one. It was a cocktail. Are you familiar with the Brendan Fraser film Blast from the Past?
Only by reputation.
Okay, so Christopher Walken was obsessed with a certain beverage, and one of my friends had recently seen it. So we let him use our stove, and he went upstairs and put some Dr. Pepper in a pan and heated it up, and then gave me a cocktail.
The hot peppy.
Hot Dr. Pepper. He put in a double Malort into it too, to really seal that deal, and it wasn't that bad.
It's funny enough, sometimes the things that people think are going to be the worst are actually the easiest.
No, it was pretty good. What else did we have that was fun? Oh, we had the pain mode. I lucked out. So pain mode was supposed to be, I have a weight vest, and every time I died to the bed of chaos, I was supposed to add a 3-pound brick into it until I hit 30 pounds. And as you might recall, you do it on the first try, you're there half a day. I got it on the first shot.
Nice.
So I did celebrate, and I said, give me 2 big waves. So it was a little, Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you will, at that point, because I was pumped. Now, I have learned to do the Toki bombs. It doesn't mean I'm going to work, but I'm looking to mitigate that disaster. But pain mode is still there, and, we'll let you in on it. This year, it's different. So I am nothing if not, again, looking to destroy myself for charity. So I have my weighted vest, and I have these weighted gloves, and I have ankle weights. And so now I have to beat bosses if pain mode is activated to take this stuff off of my body.
There you go. That's a good one.
And yeah, it's
fantastic.
It's the mere price of $14.99.99. When we hit that, it's pain mode time. We set the goal at $1,500 this year. If we get that, fantastic. Looking to blow past $2,400 from last year. Always ever upwards. But I figured set the bar a little low. That way the people can do the worst things to me and enjoy it.
Absolutely. I was wondering if you've ever done the pickleback Malort.
It's funny you mentioned picklebacks because I wanted to go see a show once, and the bartender, I got, shot of whiskey for myself, and I got one for my friend, and I got one for another friend that was there. And she goes, hey, you want pickleback with that? And I said, what the hell is a pickleback? And she's like, it's pickle juice. And I'm thinking that, somebody had a whole bunch of pickle brine, and it's just like, Joey, take the pickle brine to your bar, figure out something to do with it. Just make people drink it. I didn't, apparently it was a thing on Jersey Shore, despite me being in the great state of New Jersey, did not watch the show. I lived with those people. I don't need to watch them on the television. I know what they are. So after a lot of back and forth, are you trying to trick me? No, I swear you, this is really a thing. I took it, and no thanks. I don't care much for it.
No, the pickle shots are terrible. Yeah. I'm not suggesting this for you specifically, and more for you, dear viewer, as a possibility to do.
Yeah, well, there's some things in our liquor cabinet that I was surprised didn't happen. So in a previous year, I was making the cocktails that Coach McGurk made on the episode of Home Movies where he becomes a
Oh.
bartender. Yeah, yeah. So
I don't remember what those are, but they're not going to be good.
no, they're very bad. One of them was a dairy and whiskey.
Hmm.
But my wife, she's a very good sport, and we'll get to why in a moment. Her one rule was it has to be a non-cow milk. So it was almond milk and whiskey, which was still not the best. But she's like, I'm not dealing with you puking everywhere. And
Yeah.
the house did smell like a brewery last year. Getting to at least the 2 hour mark, let alone towards the end. Baiju, are you familiar with Baiju?
No. I was gonna say though, but yeah, I can imagine your house smells really good when you're good and sweaty after having
Yeah,
like
sweating,
cracked down a whole bottle of Malort.
just the Mediterranean funk is coming off me, plus all of the alcohol. And there's not a lot of ventilation because I'm in a basement.
Hmm.
So when I met my wife, I told her I was a big fan of gasoline whiskey because I'm a classy guy like that.
Oh yeah.
And she said, well, someday you should try Baijiu. And I said, what's that? So my wife comes from a Chinese family, and Baijiu is basically, as she pitched it, Chinese moonshine. But she told me that
Ah,
it smells like trash and tastes like fire. It's one of
fun.
those
Good
kind of,
selling points.
yeah, we all seem to understand that it's not the best thing, but we drink it anyway. And so I bought some and I started drinking it. And at our wedding, I had my groom's party, do a shot with me beforehand. And one of my buddies, who is a big stack of Albertan beef, as he likes to refer to himself, came into the
Mhm.
room and said, "Boys, who's been spraying brake cleaner everywhere?" It's a little pungent, but he did like it. He was a big fan. So we have that on the docket as a good one. Now I was taking your normal shot glass shots full because that's what you take a shot with.
Well, sure, yeah.
And yeah, and the family found out that the weird white boy likes Baiju, and just kept looking at me like, really, really, really. And then one of them was, it's like, oh yeah, I'll do a couple shots. It really sticks with you. Go, what sort of glass are you using? And they showed me the actual one you're supposed to drink out of. That's like a thimble. It is,
Oh yeah.
yeah. It's kind of like if you know the traditional Russian vodka thing, right? We open the bottle and we're all drinking and we pass it around. It's one of those, but it's like you're supposed to drink it with like a dozen dudes after dinner.
Hmm.
And you're taking little sippies, just little sippies, just wetting your whistle, not, Dumbo over here, just pounding, the 1.5 ounces down his gullet. But that could be on the table. Who can say? So all these things put out there, Ilyon, what sort of pitfalls and perils do you see for this sort of challenge in general, but in specific for a fellow who is currently sprinting past the 40-yard line of life as I'm engaging with it?
Oh, having done a lot of these kinds of challenges, it's incredibly taxing both physically and mentally without actually taxing yourself physically and mentally like you are by doing the additional stair-stepper and things like that. I don't think that Dark Souls is as hard of a series as what people say, but trying to do it in 7 hours and all the glitches is not something that I ever really did, and it's certainly not easy to get those parries timed properly to do most of the glitch things. So it's very impressive to try and do that. The biggest thing, like you said, that I can feel for you is I know the funk that you got after one of these, and good luck living in that house for the next week, because I can tell you from experience, I can barely go in my office for about 3 days after a challenge because of how much it smells like sweaty pickles. And I'm not exercising, I'm just eating them.
Okay.
But I mean, for the bijou, it sounds like you were saying that. So it tastes like it looks like trash and tastes like fire. You said, or
It
smells like trash. And,
tastes like fire. It smells
okay,
like, it does smell, and my buddy was right. Like, you just sprayed a bunch of brake cleaner in the air and just let it settle.
sure. I mean, as a trash fire person, that does, you are what you eat, you are what you drink. It sounds like it's an experience at least. Maybe matches up with personality.
We do have the trash man right here.
I was just going to say, and you have the trash there, so we know you're halfway there at least. You just gotta light that bad boy up. I mean, you're gonna be on fire doing cardio for 7 hours.
I mean, you got to do something. And, I took cardio instead of getting into strongman stuff. Like, I feel like a lot of people in our age bracket do when you hit that thing, When I moved back to New Jersey, I really wasn't able to run outside as much. Lots of cars. Not just big open country lanes like when I lived way up, north in New England. So, the Stair-Stepper, it's good. That does smell too, by the way. You're intended to use it for 15 minutes. It says in the manual, use for 15 minutes and let it sit for, 30 to 60.
Yeah, because that thing's going to start. You need some good lube for that bad boy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna seize it up.
I'm gonna buy a couple of backups this year. I found a heavier duty one, and it broke, and I RMA'd that, and that one also broke. So I got a refund, and I went back to the one I used for the original marathon. That's been for the morning cardio souls episodes when I do those, and it works. I don't know. The cheap one is the solution.
Amazing.
Oh my. So let's just say we're in some bizarro world where you find yourself forced to do this sort of thing, right? What's one song you would want to listen to while going through such an ordeal?
Oh, if I'm going to listen to something on repeat.
Or just something you need in a playlist so when it comes up, like, it's going to just keep pushing you along.
Yeah. If I'm going to go with something that you can play on stream, that's not going to get you DMCA'd, I'm going to say that you'd really want to have probably the Loop Hero soundtrack is a real good one. That one's got some absolute bangers on it, and so and there's certain moments that it'll just like hit in, so you just feel that like vibe and you just start getting that extra pump on, and hopefully you can line that up for a moment when you actually need it. That's the real thing.
Yeah. Well, everybody, if you're interested in Ilyon, I do have some great news. They can be found, once again, at twitch.tv/ILYON_, the Rough Cuts Podcast, patreon.com/ILYON, no underscore on there.
Yes.
I believe you're also ILYON, no underscore at Blue Sky, and I think that's catching all of them.
I believe so. That's catching pretty much all of it, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure that, you've donated this gracious time. I want to make sure that I'm getting the plugs out there. Is there anything you feel like we haven't covered, or words of encouragement or debasement you want to add after learning about cardio souls?
Again, get him to do a pickleback malort. I need to see it. I just want to know. I gotta be there for it. I will be in chat. I'll be donating. We gotta get a few of those and see pencil shavings and pickles clashing together.
All right, I'll put this out here. I will break the pickle embargo. But
you have a pickle embargo?
Oh yeah, I hate pickles. I told you. I said I'm out pickles. All right.
I also hate them, but like this for the kids.
It's for the kids. So all right. Again, this is actually the first, although filmed first, not aired first. I don't put my face out. I was a teacher for too long. There is an incentive, and a couple of them have made that I have to make a cocktail on camera this year and then drink it, which is, as we were talking, hey, inside baseball, behind the scenes, I have multiple cameras set up for what's happening this year. So like way off yonder, there's going to be, a little bar set up, and off yonder will be the peanut gallery, for the people coming to watch. I will make the horrible pickle cocktail on camera is one of those. If you just join us in chat, just so you can see, the just disgust on my face of knowing what's coming as well as the reaction. I'll do it then.
You're welcome, chat.
So many people that know how much I don't like pickles, but it's for the kids.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids. Well, Ilyon, thanks a lot.